Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass Move. And for today's episode, as promised, the Leicester versus Braga game in the Europa League first knockout round, of course. But today is the second leg instead. We've already played the first leg, and just a few updates since the last game, since the last episode, really. But yeah, just to show you a couple of things quickly. It's nice to see Danilo and Raniel. I mean, Danilo has caught up and with Raniel to 10 goals of being the top goal scorer in the club. But at the same time, it's kind of shocking that your ball-winning midfielder is your top goal scorer and your backup striker is your top goal scorer too. So we can improve in that respect, but it's still good to see two players managing to get into double digits. Danilo's leading the average rating, Santos with the most assists as expected, pass completion still Danilo's, as well as yellow cards and red cards, and Santos, of course, most player of the match. Is huge player for us. But yeah, I think let's just show you what happened since then. So that last episode was the one against Liverpool. We managed to win against Martimo 1-0. Hassan scoring in the 62nd minute. A bit of a scraping by, but we were away from home, and then a win is a win at the end of the day, and it was important to get the 3 points. Especially because we did lose to Porto 3-0. Of course, we were again away from home, so it's a bit tougher than normal. But again, Porto just showing their dominance over us as they beat us here, they beat us in the Premier League, and maybe we can get our revenge in the Taça de Portugal semi-final. But for now, Porto have quite easily possibly run away with their quality from us, really. But yeah, against Leicester was a very huge win, really. We weren't favourites. We managed to win 2-0 through Santos and Danilo. So, two key players stepping up in a very important time for the club. And more importantly, we kept the clean sheet because, of course, Leicester away from home. If we manage to score now in today's game, then we already are 3-0 up, as well as Leicester having to score more than 3 goals against us. So, I want to say it's unlikely, but I don't want to jinx it. But anyways, against Portimonense, we did also scrape by with a 1-0 win. Again, Danilo proving his worth to us with a 67th minute winner. And again, we managed to keep the clean sheet too. So 1-0 victories are very important, of course. It shows that you can handle the pressure, and hopefully we can show you guys that we can handle the pressure today against Leicester. And yeah, let's show you quickly how the league table looks like. So there you go. I'm pretty sure you guys noticed it in the beginning. But yeah, we're 3 points away from Benfica, who are in second, and we are quite disappointingly 8 points away from Porto, who are first. But it just shows you that Porto are kind of running away with their quality, and I think a lot of the youngsters are also improving. And Benfica are kind of struggling dealing with Porto, because I think they won it 4 or 3 times in a row, Benfica, before Porto won it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Benfica bounce back. But for now though, we are back to being 5 points away from Sporting in third place. So again, we finally have that nice advantage over Sporting, and hopefully it looks like this season we might actually qualify for Champions League. If we can do it in the second spot, or even somehow make it back into first place, that'd be great. But for now, I'm quite comfortable with a third spot, just as long as there's progress, really. So yeah, I think we can kick off today's game. We'll explain more about who's playing in just a moment after the players warm up. And I'm expecting a tough game against Leicester once more. They're at home, so they're again once more even stronger favourites this time around. And they've made some decent improvements to their team. That's why they're in the Europa League. So normally, whenever I play Football Manager, after Leicester become champions, they just really struggle. And it seems like they've kind of bounced back right now, and they don't seem to be doing too poorly themselves. So key men are Danny Drinkwater and Santos, and that's fair enough for both teams, but favourites are Leicester, and that is normal in terms of expectations. So they're playing a 4-2-3-1, very attacking. They really do need the goals, of course, which is what they're setting out to do. But yeah, they still have the likes of Morgan and Huth and Fuchs. They managed to bring in Trippier from Tottenham. Albrighton's still there, so is Gray. Bueno's a new signing. Vardy, of course, still a key man, and Drinkwater's being partnered by Campagna And Schmeichel's still in goal as well. So some new players on the bench as well, but we won't get into that. Let's talk about our starting 11. So front three, standard really. Jordao or Bruno is starting an advanced playmaker instead of Fonte. He's played quite decently when he's been called upon, and I think Fonte is a little bit tired for today's game if I'm not mistaken. But either way, we're not going to take out Fonte for no reason. He wasn't in any poor form. It's probably just a little bit of fitness trouble. Fran Sergio is playing in centre mid instead of defensive mid as an anchor man. He's normally the backup to Assis. We managed to hold on to him as well in the transfer window, but yeah, he has to play in the ball-winning midfielder spot because Danilo's missing out today's game with a suspension, and Gruezo, who's normally his backup, has to play in right back because both Paulino and Marcelo, both our right backs, are injured. So unfortunately, Paulino not getting back in time really. I think actually he did recover from his injury, but unfortunately for us, he got the flu literally just a day before the game, so that wasn't too pleasing. I was hoping he can make it in time so Gruezo can play in centre mid, but unfortunately for us, Gruezo, he's not entirely comfortable there, but he is just the only other option really, and he can do a job, so hopefully he can do it quite well today. Rostic and Jubal straightforward, so is Juankar and Marafona in goal. And actually that's a mistake by me. Moreira should be playing in a cup game, so sorry Moreira, we'll make it up to him by playing in the Premier League game. But yeah, just so you can guys get a kind of a view. I think I've played Marafona in another cup game accidentally as well, so you can consider it to be about 25 appearances for him and about 17 for Moreira. So that's decent distribution. Neither of them have complained about game time, so it's good to see as well. Morale's improved a little bit, but yeah, definitely need to remind my team that it's not over until it's over, and hopefully they do seem to be more focused now and more motivated, but we need to see that on the pitch as well. So in terms of talking about what's going on since the last episode, we'll talk about it a bit more now. So we did sell a youngster to Liverpool. We'll show you him after the game as well. But yeah, we can't really seem to hold on to talent. Anytime a big club come into, and try steal our youngsters, the youngsters are really, they just get too pissed off about asking to leave. I've tried to warn them several times. You won't get the game time. You won't get what you're looking for at Liverpool, but they're so determined to leave. And so I just sell them for crazy amounts, of course, in terms of not money, but in terms of the more than their value. And Liverpool are happy to pay that amount. So we didn't get too much in terms of finances. We got 100k up front and 100k in 6 months later, as Hassan puts in a really poor shot. But yeah, considering his worth is about 15k, it kind of makes sense to get that amount of money. Liverpool weren't budging. I was trying to get about $1 million up front and $1 million 6 months later, but unfortunately I couldn't do that. And the player was really, asking to leave, so I just did it anyways. Got him for about, I don't know, 4 times his amount possibly. But either way, it's just something we have to deal with. Big clubs trying to steal our Portuguese talent, and we're not the only team who are, losing out on our talents. And we'll talk about that more in just a second. Martimo the game that we played against them, we had to win it because Sporting won their game, and Paulino got sent off for the last 5 minutes, but we managed to hold on to that 1-0 result. Ooh, Santos 3, is he going to score? Unfortunately, he couldn't do that. Normally he does, but a bit of a tight angle, I suppose. I thought he might take it with his left foot, especially because he's an inside forward. But instead, he went with his weaker foot to try and, put it into the near post. Didn't work out in the end. Ooh, Jubal. Oh, he's having a crazy amount of clear-cut chances. Not scoring. Story of our season, really. But 2-0 ahead. I think we can, don't need to worry just yet. Hopefully make the next chance pay. And hopefully this highlight is our next chance. Hassan, don't do anything stupid. He always goes by himself for some reason. Just play it safely. There you go. Fabio. What's he going to do? Fran Sergio. What's he going to do as a ball winning midfielder? Hassan. Nice. Takes his man on. Ooh, what a shot that is. Pick that out, man. Top goal, really. I thought he was going to go for the cross, but instead he just went for the far post. Just completely beat Schmeichel there. We're getting a nice little replay here. Takes his man on. There's a bit of a fake run there from one of his teammates. And then Schmeichel really can't do it. It's a bit of a chip and a bit of a shot, really. There's top bins and nothing Schmeichel can do there. And there you go. We got our away goal that we were looking for. And hopefully my players still stay focused. But they seem very determined. And yeah, against... let me mention first about Danilo. So Danilo, he's obviously still okay, he's happy, but he did want to leave to another club, I forgot who, but it was because of Champions League. So I managed to convince him to stay with us and tell him, I had to promise him as well, that we'll be getting Champions League. There you go, Leicester's first goal. That's not pleasing at all. I can't even tell my players to concentrate. But yeah, I had to promise Danilo basically that we'll be getting Champions League football, so hopefully this season that does happen, because otherwise we really will miss out on Santos, Marcelo and Danilo, who's proven to be such a key player for us this season. So, you know, pressure's on to qualify for the Champions League. In the game against Porto, a very bad loss. I was hoping we would get our revenge, but they did manage to score through 2 set pieces and then score in, you know, last few moments of the game because we did go into overload. Leicester really putting the pressure on us now. Look at that. Absolute stupidity for my players. Just let it go after what they've been doing. Played so well, scored the early winning goal, the early away goal, sorry. And mistakes have cost us now. Deflection. But either way, hopefully they focus now, because if Leicester do score one more, then it's going to look seriously, and you know, will make the players unsettled really. Okay, let's do that. Look at that. What a poor rating from our centre back. Jubal first choice, as well as Grezzo first choice. Just not good enough. And yeah, I'll be showing you the Premier Liga's, you know, the other clubs, their transfers, because it's quite interesting to see just what's been going on with the other top teams in Portugal, as well as the other teams really, but just the top teams, you know, the big 3 that we're competing with. Show you, I don't really care about who they brought in, more about showing you who they sold, because it's not just us losing out on talent, it's also them. So I'll show you just what's been going on. But yeah, the other teams also lost when we lost against Porto, but Porto of course are really pulling away, so thankfully that loss wasn't too heavy in terms of us dropping down the table. But of course it did mean that Porto are running away from us with the title. So we're going to make some changes here. Juan Carlos had a terrible game, he's tired anyways. Santos, do we have anyone from? Yeah, we do have Simeo on the bench room. Azevedo. And Bruno, bring on Fontaine still. Hopefully a more experienced, let's tell some of these youngsters there's no pressure on them. Fonte, we can expect a bit more from him. There you go. Alright, yeah, so hopefully more experience from Fonte will actually get us maybe another goal, but Leicester are so determined to, you know, attack from the off. We have had more shots and more on target and more click-up chances. You know, if made those 2 chances count earlier, maybe we wouldn't be in this position because Leicester would be completely deflated. But yeah, hopefully we see some more now. This is the substitute here, both substitutes combining. And what's Fonte going to do here? Well, almost a really nice ball. Steady loses out. And Leicester on the counter again. Really dangerous on the counter, still playing quite realistically. But Simeo does well to get back, and Fran Sergio leads the way with Hassan. Hassan's got the ball now, Steady loses it, but Fonte's got it, and back to Fabio. And suddenly we're all tight to each other. We lose it again, but Jubal's got it. But yeah, again outnumbered, and suddenly Vardy's through, and he is onside. Is he going to score? Ooh, what a save, but this one's going in for sure. My players. Just completely falling apart, really. I did jinx it in the early beginning of the game, didn't I? But we're still going to go through, unless Leicester score one more. If we can score one more, that means they have to score 2 more. So again, this is the great thing about being away from home. And hopefully we can stay focused enough. I'm tempted to go into contain, but I don't really want to panic just yet. Yeah, but in the first leg of this game, I guess, we did dominate Leicester, and the result matched it finally with a 2-0. And it was also very, as I mentioned, very crucial for us to keep the clean sheet. Against Portimonense, I think if I'm getting that right. We sneaked by, but again, it was just an important win, and we managed to get away 5 points from Sporting. Please do not tell me this highlight goes to Leicester. We cannot concede right now. Tell me we scored a assuring goal. There you go, Fabio. Please, guys, don't do anything stupid. Yep, he's doing something stupid. Fonte. Nice. Alright. We're still on counter, so I'm not sure why we're... There you go, Hassan. What's he going to do? Oh, another beauty from him, and there you go. It looks like we're getting into the second knockout round. Thank God for Hassan. Finally stepping up. Incredibly. Yeah, so just to, put things in a little bit of perspective, explain to you maybe why our team's getting in a little bit better of form. I realized I was getting a bit repetitive with the team talk, and that seemed to affect morale, so I've been switching things up, just saying things on a game-to-game basis. So that kind of helped as well, improve morale in certain times, using more passion, not always telling off my players, even though sometimes they did deserve it, of course. But if morale's low and you're telling your players off, kind of doesn't really help. Also, halftime team talks are hugely important. They're kind of more important than your, beginning of before the pre-match talks or post-match talks as well. Oh, almost another goal. Because that can, when you speak at halftime, that can turn a draw into a win or even a loss into a draw. So it's very important what you say at halftime. It kind of spurs your players on to do even better. The other thing is that I've kind of changed my way of I guess rotating my players. I think it might not help necessarily my fringe players too much, but I'll show you just what I used to do. I'll show you what I used to do and what I'm doing now, and I think it's a little bit better now, and it makes a little bit more sense as well. I've been trying to think about like, how do you realistically manage a club, like in real life? How does it work? And I'll show you just in a second what I mean specifically as well. All right. Okay, so normally I used to go into match report, and if you're a first teamer and you, for example, Jabal is a first teamer, he got a 6.3, he had a poor game, that means he's getting substituted no matter what, right? He's gonna get rotated, he's gonna be dropped. And I'll bring in the rotational player in, and that rotational player has a chance to shine. Now, if you're a rotational player like Bruno here, and you get 6.8, then that means you had a decent game, but not good enough to really establish yourself in the first team. So if you're only getting a 7 and above as a rotational player, then I keep you on. If you're a first team and you get, if you only get dropped unless if you perform less than a 6. If you perform from a 6.4 or less, basically. So, first teamers had a bit of an advantage there, and it kind of makes sense to give them that advantage because, they're more talented, and obviously sometimes first teamers have a poor game, but the next game they make the difference for you. But what I realized with this is that it usually causes too much confusion. A lot of the time it means you're rotating too much, and changing your first team 11 too often, and then obviously that creates poor form in general, inconsistent form. So the other thing that I'm going to be doing now is that I will be keeping an eye on the match rating itself. So for example, Jubal's got a 6.3, that means technically he should be dropped, but what I'll do is actually go check his recent form. So he's got a 6.8, a little bit tight, to be fair. He's not in incredible form. In his last 5 games he's got a 6.8, so I was thinking anything less than a 6.8, whether you're a first team or not, you will get dropped. That if you're in a bit of a quiet form, then you'll get dropped regardless of your performance. So that kind of thing makes a little bit more sense, because Jabal got a 6.3 now, but he's still in 6.8 in his general form, which means when we do face him, when we do play him next time, he might actually pick up his performance again. Want to make up for his poor performance in the last game. But for example, Guezo, he got 6.3, he's not even a first teamer, and he's less than 6.8 in his general form, then it makes sense to just drop him entirely. And for example, Hassan, before today's game, his last couple of games, he got a 6.6 for example, but his overall form was not too bad, and he's repaid the faith by scoring 2 very important games now. So it might mean that some fringe players won't really get to play, but it will mean that obviously we'll have a more stable first 11, and that way players actually get to perform much better in general as well. And yeah, fringe players will only get a chance to play when people are tired, out of form, or injured, which kind of makes a lot more sense than me just rotating all the time. For example, let's have a look. So Raniel's a decent example, but of course Hassan was out injured for a while. Not too much, but he was out injured for a while. So Raniel's technically a rotational player, and he's managed 23 appearances and even making 15 appearances as a substitute. So that's a huge amount of games for someone who's supposed to be a rotational player. And also his form's only been 6.7 over the past 5 games. Overall in his season he only has 6.84. So again, these things are crucial. He's managed to score 10 goals in total, which is okay, not too bad actually, and you know, a goal every other game is not bad at all, but in his general play and his general performance seems to point otherwise. So it kind of makes sense that way, that you shouldn't be playing too often. Do you get what I mean? And maybe someone like Simao Azevedo, you know, he's maybe had more of a rotational type of performance or type of games, appearances, numbers, that type of thing, and that makes a lot more sense as well. So key men like Santos, he should be hitting 41 appearances. That makes complete sense. He's a very key man for us. Cease, you know, Juanca, Jubal, Rosic, these are key players for us. They should be getting the majority of the games. So if I'm rotating too much, that will affect our performances, our form, and as well as, you know, the result of the play if we're playing with less able in terms of ability or whatever. So anyways, that's just what I've changed recently. But yeah, we thankfully do have the second knockout round, which we have a draw tomorrow. Let me show you actually who we draw then before we end the episode. But in terms of when we'll be back, it will be 5 games time as always. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be showing us our rival game. Huge game, of course. Then 5th, they'll be hoping for Europa League football, and we'll be, of course, wanting to beat them as well as continue climbing up the table. So we have never beaten them so far under my leadership. They've beaten us first and we drew the next 2 games after, so it'd be good to finally put one over them. But in terms of the head-to-head table, they are leading by 3 points, so maybe we can do better there as well. It'd be good to see a win live for you guys as well. And yeah, let's just fast forward, sort out the team in just a moment. We've got some decent money there, almost $500,000, and that should put our finances in a little bit better of a position. Actually, let me see what our projection is. Yeah, still a low chance of budget. Maybe Champions League football will change that. But let's see who we managed to draw. Alright. Please give me someone easy. It's disappointing to lose against Leicester. But you know, when it comes to 2 legs games, it doesn't make sense to tell your players off because they get confused. They're like, well, you're telling us off when we won? It's a bit weird. Obviously on the day itself they didn't perform. So these are the teams in the bag for it. The only other Portuguese team is Rio Ave and Sporting. I think Sporting dropped out from Champions League into, you know, Europa League. Same thing probably goes for Chelsea and Tottenham. But yeah, some really big teams here, so hopefully we can avoid some of them. If we get another Portuguese team, that'd be great for us. Rio Ave managed Tottenham, Dynamo Kiev, Shakhtar, Besiktas, Lyon, Olympique Marseille actually, sorry, Inter, Fiorentina, 2 Italian teams going head to head, that's interesting too, Fenerbahce and Valencia, Sporting, BMG. So hoping to avoid all 3 of these teams, they're huge teams, great. Roma, okay, Roma might be a little bit better than Lyon, but still not as bad as drawing with Chelsea. So hopefully maybe we can still go one step further. Just like we beat Leicester, can we beat Roma? Be interested to see. I think you guys will actually manage to see the second knockout round. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after that it's probably 1, 2, oh, you won't even get to see it probably. We'll see how it goes. Maybe there'll be more things in between. But anyways, I think that will be all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then of course please do hit the like button and subscribe for more daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always guys, thank you all very much for watching.